Bryan Hartson, and this is the Bryan Hartson Show. Today, we're going to take a journey down a path some call a way of life, while others call it bizarre and crazy. Now, what if numbers could tell you the future? What if they could explain the past? Can numbers coexist with religion? The questions about numbers, the universe, life, they've been haunting us with questions since as far back as we can trace. In my high school years, one of my math instructors had his room filled with the number 17. He was an emphatic believer that 17 was key to everything. That 17 was the most common random number that would show over any other number consistently and without fail. But why? We'll dig into these questions with Dr. Edward Lee, a professional numerologist and chief numbers scientist in our show today. Buckle up for the ride. It's going to be fun. Come on, let's go. Hello and welcome to the Bryan Hartson Show. I am Bryan Hartson and I am so pleased to have you with me. We've got a great show for you this particular half hour. With me is Dr. Lee, Edward Lee. Thanks for joining me today, Dr. Lee. As I mentioned a moment ago, he holds a doctorate in metaphysics, and he's a member of IONS, the Institute of Noetic Science in California, and also SMN, Scientific Medical Network in London. Dr. Lee is a professional numerologist, and he is currently the founder of his very own numerology organization. He's operating under the company name of Unravel Your Best Careers, and that's out in Singapore, where we're reaching out to him and talking with him now at. Get your phones out now too, because I'm going to pop up a QR in a little bit, much like you see in the corner there for the Bryan Hartson Show as usual. We'll have one up there for you so that you can reach out directly to Dr. Lee and get to his book or his information and his website. Well, Dr. Edward has founded his own numerology outfit. He actually would prefer not to be called a numerologist. I'm really interested into hearing why that is. Instead of Dr. Edwards right now, he's calling himself Chief Number Scientist or a Chief Careers Scientist. Dr. Lee, I want to thank you so much for being with me and joining me today on the Bryan Hartson Show.
Hi. Good evening, Bryan. Thanks for the great introduction. And I think, remember you were showing right in the beginning the video about the number 17?
Yes.
You remember that? Yes.
I do very well, yes.
Yes. So the number 17 is a number pair. Okay. So our entire universe, it can be decoded with not a single digit number. The most important numbers are in fact double digit number. Okay. So 17 by itself means past life. So it's not the coincidence that you said that this number pair affecting so much, you see, because 17 has to do with a past life. Okay. So that's my comment. For you.
Okay. Very good. That's interesting. That's very interesting. It's been 30 years that I have been out of high school, if you will, probably greater than that. Geez, maybe even 35, but I won't tell. But I've always had that burning question, and I remember anytime anybody ever asks me a question about numbers, like what number should I pick? I have always had that in my head. And the way that my instructor said it wasn't just like, oh, number 17 is important. It was number 17. And my friends from high school, if you're watching this from Loera High School, thanks for being with us. And I'm sure that you also have experienced that as well at Loera High School. So thank you for shedding some light onto that. And Dr. Lee, before we get into the burning question of why you don't want to be referred to as a numerologist. I'm curious, what got you to where you are today? Was it numbers? Was it education, combination, or just curiosity? What got you to where you are today in your newfound organization?
Okay, that's a very good question. I say, Brian. I would say that they play equal parts, almost equal parts in getting me to where I am today. If I were to give a figure, it would be for numbers would be 60%, for education would be 40%. So as you
Education,
can see,
40%.
they are almost, yes, education 40%. And why did I say that? Okay, because right from the day I was born, even when I was very young, I know that I'm a very curious person. You know, curiosity kills the cat. You know
Right.
what I mean. Okay, so even in my teenage years, when I study and do stuff like that. So I'm always guided by curiosity. Okay, I do
Okay.
not follow what the teachers say. I'm not those kind who actually follow what the teachers say every time. I would use my own parameters to form my own conclusion, so to speak. Okay, and I would I would examine uh, different perspectives of a knowledge. Every subject I would try to maybe I would like for numbers I actually after discovering that there's a link between numbers and science. Okay, I actually go through every branches of science. Okay, physics, chemistry, biology, quantum physics, and stuff like that. So I actually validated that numbers fit in with science perfectly. And that's the truth which I will share with everyone here later on.
Awesome. That sounds great. I have absolutely. We're going to dig into that. Now, why don't you want to refer to yourself as a numerologist?
Okay, that's a very good question, Brian. And yes, I would very much prefer not to be called a numerologist, as it's a profession that invariably conjures up images of crystal ball gazing and stuff like that, which is further from what my company is doing. First, like what all good science does, a central feature of my methodology is consistency, and that you get the exact same result irrespective of who does it. So I'm saying that my methodology is what you call in science as empirical based, and that you get the exact same results now or in the future. And it doesn't matter who does the calculation, you get the exact same result. Another
Mm-hmm.
thing I would like to highlight is a current criticism that has been leveled upon numerology, and that there's different methods to calculate different things. For instance, for things like love and marriage, you use a particular method, and for other things, it's another. So that's really perplexing to say the least. Furthermore, I'm a person who's basically a hardcore skeptic at heart, for which
I'm sorry.
leads me to
What was that
question
again?
everything.
You're a what
I'm
person
a
at heart?
hardcore skeptic. I'm a hardcore skeptic.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a
A
skeptic.
heartful skeptic. You're a skeptic. Good. I think that's great.
Yeah,
I mean, in your profession, you've
hardcore,
got to be.
hardcore. Yeah, a
Oh, hardcore.
hardcore.
Hardcore skeptic.
Extreme, extreme.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yes,
Yeah.
hardcore skeptic. Yeah,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
at heart, which leads me to question everything, and that has led me to discover amazing correlation between numbers and science, literally. So let's get back to this thing about consistency.
Let's do
Another
that.
important criticism, so another important criticism of numerology is the alleged accuracy of the practice of assigning numbers to alphabet used by all numerologists.
That's a
when you
great question.
think
I've got a
about,
great question about that. I've got a
okay,
question for you on
okay,
that.
mm,
You're assigning
okay,
numbers to alphabets,
alphabet, yes,
right? We've got a lot of
yes,
languages. So tell me,
yes,
how does that happen when you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of languages and only so many number of digits, especially when you're talking about looking at just a couple of
yes,
digits to make decisions?
yes, yes. That's a very valid question, and something that is bothered me right in the beginning when I really got into this thing about numbers. Okay,
Okay.
simply because there are thousands of languages across the world. Unless I check out, there are in fact 6,500 languages in the world today. Does that mean we have 6,500 ways to calculate a person numbers? Ridiculous. Wouldn't
Ridiculous.
you say so, Brian?
I
Yes.
think it is ridiculous.
So, yes, that's right. That's what really bothered me right in the beginning. So, but then I questioned myself, does that really mean the practice of assigning numbers to alphabet is totally irrelevant? Okay, so
Okay.
the
Okay.
one who doesn't, okay, so the one who doesn't believe in anything unless otherwise proven. I set myself on a 13-year-old journey, okay, starting from the year 2008 to prove that the numbers work 100%. Okay,
13 years.
maybe not, yeah, 13 years. So
Okay.
that's how old my methodology is. Okay. So rather than be fixated on the bad things, which are the different languages which couldn't be proven, I went ahead to prove that the numbers work admirably using none other than the English language.
Wait,
And
wait,
of
wait.
course, I
Hold
did
on.
it with my
Hold
own.
on here.
Okay,
Because we just talked about
okay,
languages not being relevant. How are you tying
okay.
now English of all the dialects into a pairing with the numbers? Let's start there and then we can move forward.
Okay, so you were saying that besides English, or do you mean that?
So is English tied to numbers? Is that the core source to your
Yes,
studies? You found that it's
yes,
English. How
yes,
come?
yes.
Why not another language?
English is, I do not know, but from my research, it I mean, it really, I think, okay, my so-called, it's not that deep, I would say, because I'm not an expert in that field, but it says that English is probably, you know, derived from the Greek language. You know what I
Okay.
mean, Brian?
Okay. Hmm.
Okay. So
But you're not
probably that
focusing
would
on
be,
English. You're not focusing on the English part of it in your studies for the numerology part, right? Or you are?
yes, yes,
Okay.
I am, because all my findings and all my conclusions are based on English language, the English
Okay.
alphabet A to Z. Okay.
Okay.
You get what I
Perfect. Just
mean,
I just want
Brian?
to get us a base of what it is that you're trying to get across to our listeners. Everybody's not going to
Yes,
agree with
that's right.
what you have to say or what I
That's
have to
right.
say. But as long as we understand
That's,
at least where your baseline is and how you're coming to your decisions,
yes,
it helps our
that's right.
audience get a better understanding of
That's right.
maybe they should think
That's
about
right.
this, that, or the other. Okay,
Yes,
so take us through
yes.
the English and numbers. We'll just give it a given that okay, that's that part's taken care of. Let's go on.
Okay. So as I'm saying, the English alphabet A to Z makes so much sense because my methodology has proven that the numbers work with English. A to Z, every one of the every number along with the alphabet of English work perfectly. Otherwise, how would you explain the 97% accuracy of my reading? You get what I mean, Brian?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So let me continue. And of course, I did it with my own methodology, which has since been refined and fine-tuned to yield an accuracy of 97%. And this is a figure which I quote from a client's feedback. and not from the air, mind you. Okay. And lastly, I'm glad to report that since then, our method has been fully scientifically validated and has been granted the protection under the intellectual property rights law as well.
Wait. Now, big point you just made up, or you just told us. I'm sorry. You said that it is scientifically validated. What do you mean?
Yes. Okay. Uh, Science validated as in, it's empirical based. You can do it 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000,000 times. Whoever does it doesn't matter. Okay? As long as we use my methodology, we will come to the conclusion each and every time. So that's the basis of science there.
Okay. So I'm going to come back to your methodology. I want to talk a little bit more about that. But go ahead and take us along the journey some more.
Okay. Okay. So I remember you were saying that it's number or application that gets me into what I'm doing right now. Okay. I continue from there. Okay. So I would see that I'm a curious person as well as I've been saying just now. Okay, right to this moment, and that's where it fuels my love for numbers. Okay, so my love for numbers came after that late in life. Okay, it's only recently I founded my numerology company. Okay,
So
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 as you
how did
can see,
sure. So how does science really fit
okay,
into numbers? Since you're a scientific reading, um, which you mentioned earlier, how does it
okay.
really fit into the numbers?
That's a very good question. And in fact, that's the most interesting part that I'm getting right into right now, Brian. Besides the scientific accuracy of reading, I have found real literal evidence whereby the numbers of people which are found in the date of birth and time of birth charts, whether they are of famous people or normal people like you and me, collate exactly with the same numbers found in the different branches of science, such as in physics or in biology. I know it sounds complicated.
Sure
Let
does.
me give you an actual example. Let me
Okay.
start with a very significant number pair. This is the number pair 28. This 28 number pair is commonly found in the numerical birth charts of many normal as well as wealthy, famous entrepreneurs such as Bill Gates or Walt Disney. And it
Okay.
is also exactly the same pair appearing in the field of physics or in the field of astronomy, for instance. So let me give you an actual example in the field of physics. Okay.
Let's do that.
As we all know, there's this very well-known speed of light. You know, speed of
Quite
light in
quick.
physics. Yeah, speed of light is is if you know about that is at 186,282 miles per second. So that's two overlapping two eight pairs. Don't you agree, right?
Okay, I got that. I got the
Okay, yeah.
282. So the 28 is what we're
Yeah, so
talking about. Hmm.
that's in the field of astronomy, in the field of physics. Okay, so in another field in biology, a very common 2-8 example is the human female menstrual cycle, whereby this 28 days. I believe most people will know about this fact.
Hmm.
28 days. So there again, you have 2-8. So there's
Okay.
two different fields whereby 2-8 appear in the field of sciences and as well as in people, in our date of birth and time of birth.
I got to ask this question here real quick. Okay, so we're talking about biology, now we're talking about astronomy. and we're talking about
Yes.
numbers. Those are the three things specifically that we're
Yes.
actually looking at. And in that, you're coming up with the number 2 and the number 8 as being significant. And you're taking the
Yes.
2.8 from the miles per second, from the speed of light at 186,282 miles per second, and you're taking out the 28 in the number of days of the menstrual cycle. Get that?
Yes.
Why 2.8? Why did you go to? Why are you marrying 2.8 from 28 days in biology into 2.8 of the last 3 digits of the speed of light?
Okay. Great question again, Brian. There. For for the speed of light is valued at 186,282 miles per second.
Uh-huh.
So the one look at it, you will see that it's 282. Okay. Why 282? And I actually state that 282, there are 2 overlapping pairs. 282. Okay. So the 282 is also this 3 digits 282. They are what is commonly called repeating numbers. Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe that throughout the internet, repeating numbers, like 11, they're repeating numbers. Okay, like 22, 23, 44, they're all repeating numbers.
Correct.
So in the field of astrology or stuff like that, the spiritual stuff, repeating numbers. If you research, you do that, you can easily find that they say the importance of repeating numbers. Okay,
Okay.
but that is not confined to the spiritual side of things. Okay, 2.8, repeating numbers is actually a major scientific numbers found in the branches of science, particularly in what we call sacred geometry. You know sacred geometry?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sacred geometry. Our spiral universe. Yeah. So in our whole world is actually made up of cycles. As in 24 days, 24 hours in a day, 360 days in 1 year. They are all cycles. So
Okay.
if you look at cycle, and repeating numbers, isn't that the same? Yeah. So everything that repeats, is
Uh-huh.
actually a cycle. Don't you agree, Brian?
I would. Take me to another example.
Yeah. Okay. Another example would be but what kind of example are you looking at?
Share with me another amazing pair of numbers.
Another amazing besides
We just talked about
28?
28. We got 28.
And
What else is
okay,
there?
no problem, Brian. So another amazing number pair that I found out in the course of my research and reading for my clients, okay, and also reading famous people. I always have a hobby of doing reading for famous people. I Google their date of birth and I do my own reading. Yeah, yeah. So that's one of my hobbies, I would say. And okay, so let me get back to the number pair. Okay, this number pair is 6-7. It's the number pair that does wonder, whether you have it in your year, your month, or in your day. In fact, this particular 6-7 number pair appear in the exact date whereby Alexander Graham Bell, the famous inventor of the telephone, got his invention patent. What's so special about the 6-7? If we look at the Bible, it tells us that the world was created on the sixth day. And on the seventh day, God or Jesus rested. So,
So
as
created
we
in
can see
6 days,
here,
seventh day he rested. Got it.
yeah.
So now
Okay. So
we're
as we
tying in
can see,
religion here.
okay. So if you're looking at the sixth day that that the world was created, and on the seventh day that God rested,
Hmm.
that is actually a cycle. You agree with me? A
Okay. Yep.
cycle, because
It's a cycle.
it's the beginning, it's creation,
Uh
and
huh.
at the end, it's seventh day. It's after you've done something and you rested. So isn't that a cycle?
That would be a cycle.
Yes, that's right. So that
Yep.
correlate is what I was saying just moments ago.
Uh
Okay.
huh.
So what does 6 or 7 means numerically? 6 represents either money or relationship, and 7 represents the divine. So you see, it means the best of both worlds. You know, the material as well as the spiritual for 6-7.
Okay.
It means that, yeah. So on top of that, it's a cycle, which is what the universe is all about, because we go through cycles ourselves, chart from the chart, from the man, and from to old age, and then we die.
That's true.
Yeah,
So why
yeah,
is it that
okay.
some of us die at one age of old age and another person dies at another age of old age?
What's the question again, Brian?
I'm going to let you think about that. Keep us on track where we are, but I threw that out there. Go ahead. Keep us on track to
Okay,
where we
yeah.
are with
So
this.
okay. So let me get back to the example. And this number pair 6-7 is in fact in science, in astronomy. In fact, back in 2018, Guardian.com had an article which said, "Let me put you the exact headline, okay? Because
Okay.
from the headline, you will know the whole story." The headline read, "The answer to life, the universe, and everything might be 7-3 or 6-7." So doesn't that says a lot about how powerful this 6-7 is?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So so 6-7 in this article was referring to the rate at which our universe should be expanding, which is what scientists call the Hubble Constant. So
The Hubble
there you have
Constant.
it. You have
Mm-hmm.
6-7 appearing in the field of astronomy, and it also appear in the field of people like Alexander Graham Bell, and as well as normal people like you and me. And so if
So
you have 6-7 in your chart this year, for example, you are in for great things. Just to add on.
okay. And now, so
Yeah, because for your
covering the
information, I have 6-7. Okay.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your thought, please.
Okay, well, for your information, I have 6-7 this year in my chart.
Okay.
Probably that's a sign of good luck that I'm meeting you, Brian.
Yes.
Would you agree?
So 7-3 is another constant, and that has to do
Yes,
with the Hubble
yes,
constant, right? And that's actually how far the galaxies are moving away from us.
yes, yes,
73 kms
yeah.
per second,
23
right?
is a great number. Okay, it's not on my list that I'm going to share with you. But since you mentioned about that, let me share. 3-7 is a great number. Okay, because it's a number pair found in Bruce Lee. You know Bruce Lee?
Yes, I knew
Bruce
Bruce Lee.
Lee. Yes, he has
One
six
heck of a fighter.
3-7. Yeah, he has 3-7 in his chart, very prominent. Many pairs of 3-7. Yeah, and not only Bruce Lee, there's many others. Yeah, which I really can't remember
Okay.
because I've done too many readings. So sorry,
All right.
but it's a good pair.
Doctor.
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
when we come back, we're going to wrap things up in just a couple of minutes. But when we come back on the other side of the break here, I just want to talk about a couple more things. Be right back with you. Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Hi, this is Philip with Trinity Teas, and we're at the Old Town Temecula Farmers Market in Temecula, California, Saturdays 8 to 12:30 p.m. And we're talking about our teas. And the golden milk is all anti-inflammatory. It's ginger, turmeric, and cinnamon, sampled in a vanilla almond milk. Extremely anti-inflammatory. We sample it in the vanilla almond milk, no dairy, no caffeine, and we make it taste like a Mexican drink called horchata. If you haven't tried that before, it reminds people of like a cinnamon toast cereal or a nice dessert drink. So come and check us out at the Farmers Market in Old Town Temecula, Saturdays 8 to 12:30. Have a good day.
All right, Ed, we are back at the Bryan Hartson Show. Thank you for staying with us and having a great time with us during this interesting conversation regarding numerology, numbers, anatomy, physiology, space. I just pulled this up here real quick, and I'm just going to pop this up on the screen here real quick. Bear with me for just a second while I do that here. All right. So here is the article, Dr. Lee, that you were recently just was talking about. We pulled it up real quick. There's a little QR that you can see what it is. You can actually read the whole article yourself, but it talks about those galaxies moving away from us. And it's just getting faster and faster. And so until recently, scientists had hoped that as measurements became more precise, this mismatch would narrow, but instead of the differences, it widened. And so it all ties back into that number thing. And so right now we're looking at that 773 as an important number, or as you said, the 667, right? Am I close on that?
Okay. So what's your question, Brian?
Just saying, is summing that up on 67 and 73, those are very powerful numbers, and they actually are intertwined with the universe. So there's some validity to consider in all this that we're speaking of, correct?
Yes, correct. And before I forget, 37 is one of the number pairs in
37.
sacred geometry, in precept. It's one of the number pair in sacred geometry. Yeah, you know that as in what scientists call a spiral universe. Okay, so 37, you know, the sacred geometry is if you know this, if you have knowledge about sacred geometry, it actually appears in different areas of nature. Including like plants, you know, plants. Yeah. So in flowers, if I remember correctly, it's either flowers or leaves. Okay, they actually turn 37 degrees. So that's a very good
37 degrees.
Yes, they turn 37. Yes, they 37. You know, I can't remember whether it's leaves or flowers. They would turn 37 to be the exact degrees whereby they face the sun, so that they get the best nutrition from the sun. You know what I mean?
Yes, I
yeah.
do.
So that's 37.
I'm definitely following you on that.
Yes, wonderful. Yeah.
That's
so
two great examples. That is really two great examples, Dr. Lee. I want to thank you for being on the show with me today, not to convince people that your numerology is correct or that any other source of readings would be correct, but it's something to think about. I think we can dig into this a lot farther, and I'm hoping that you'll have the time to be able to pop back onto the show with me. Would that be acceptable?
Yeah, no problem.
Excellent.
I would love it.
Very intriguing. I think we could probably bite this up into different periods of time so we get to talk about different things in greater detail. Because these two things that you just talked about, we're talking about just a few numbers, and we could probably sit here and learn about this for hours, which is probably what you did in order to start developing your plans.
That's right.
Yes, excellent. And thank you guys, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us on the Bryan Hartson Show. Always a pleasure to be with you. We have some great things coming up over this next week. We have some really experienced people to talk to us about help in. We're in this time right now where we're coming out of COVID and coming into normalcy, or are we? And so we will be talking with some of our friends about that. But for now, I want to bid you adieu. Remember, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Make this second count and have a great evening.